Hey, howdy, hello, everyone. A Pillow here, coming to you with a lovely off-stream segment. Didn't upload yesterday because I ran out of stuff in my backlog. Been a little busy with some personal life stuff, but I will be returning to stream soon. But I thought I'd leave you all with a nice off-stream segment before we go in. So, video games. I love video games. You love video games if you're watching me. The background music that we have today is Animal Crossing music. We all love video games. Animal Crossing may be a bit more of a casual game, but I do play harder stuff. Of course. And one of the conversations that goes on in video game fandoms is the question of difficulty settings. Should we have difficulty settings in our games? Should we allow people to change the difficulty of their games? Should we just toss people into difficult games, let them sort their way through it? Should we basically accommodate people at lower difficulty settings? And recently, this came up in this tweet that we see here. What is an actually controversial game design opinion you hold? And this person says, games should actively mock you for playing on easy mode. These are so good. And then we see a couple of examples here. So we see, oh god, it's too zoomed in. I believe this is a frame from Metal Gear. Then we of course have Wolfenstein: The New Order. Can I Play Daddy? The easiest setting in the game. Then we have, I believe this is Link's Awakening, if I'm correct. The original, not the remake. But Are You Proud of Yourself? And then we have the last one here, Easy Mode is now selectable. So, basically, this person is saying that video games should mock you for playing on easy mode. And I personally have a disagreement with that. And I'll explain why. And I'm gonna give you a story. So, when I was a little kid, I grew up playing on... Another one of my controllers fell. But I grew up playing on the PlayStation 3. It's wrapped up currently in its power cable. But I grew up playing PlayStation 3. Loved it very much. I loved all of the games, even games that I realistically shouldn't have been playing, like GTA 4, which I called the car game, because all I would do was like drive around cars in it. And this was when I was really little. But then as I grew older, I realized that video games had objectives. So when I went to school, age 4, pre-K, and I started being able to, read because I started being taught how to read, I realized, oh, these video games like Need for Speed are telling me, oh, I have certain things that I could do. There are things I can do in this game to get further, to do some more stuff. And that was something that, I thought was cool. So I started moving from the just messing around in video games portion to the actually trying to do stuff in video games. But of course, I was a little tiny baby boy. I was a little kid. And one of the things about being a little kid is that even if you like video games, invariably you are going to most likely really suck at them. Especially if you're not getting any outside help in the game, which I largely wasn't. I like doing those things myself. I still like doing those things myself. If I have an issue in a video game, I'm not the kind to look up a tutorial. I'm the kind to work through it myself. And part of the thing that helped me work through stuff myself is that what little help that I did get was that occasionally someone would just turn on, would lower the difficulty setting for me. So instead of getting constantly sunned by enemies in games because I was like a 7-year-old, someone would cut down the difficulty setting. Did I have a little bit of trouble maybe in some of these games? Yeah. But ultimately what ended up happening is that I was able to push through the problems. And as I've gotten older, I've heightened the difficulty of the games that I've played. The most recent game that I beat, which it wasn't even that difficult on its highest difficulty setting, but I ran through Infamous Second Son twice on expert difficulty. Once to get the trophy, second time because why not? The game wasn't really too much harder on its highest difficulty. I'm making a video essay on it, which is why I played through the game. But now, whenever I play video games, I typically play it on, like, the highest difficulty setting, or if it's a game that has, like, 5 difficulty settings, typically the second highest. Just because I don't want to kill myself. And this is something that I feel is missed by the discourse on difficulty settings like this. Because a lot of people point to accessibility in terms of disability accessibility. And that's good. That's great. And that is also something that I want to talk about here. Having lower difficulty settings for people who may be disabled and may not be able to engage in video games, which not every disability is the same. There was, I believe, someone who was quadriplegic who beat fucking Sekiro. So of course, not all disabilities are made the same. And not every disabled person is the same, but there are certainly some people out there who have a disability that may not be able to play on higher difficulty settings of games. And then that's where accessibility features come in, which are important and which I think should be lauded whenever they're in games. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, the issue of, like, kids getting into video games. I guarantee you, I would not have gotten as into video games as a kid as I did if I didn't have the freedom to cut down the difficulty settings whenever something got a little too hard for me. And even then, as a kid, I would raise the difficulty setting. Like, the first AAA game, I guess you could say, I ever beat was Assassin's Creed Unity. I beat that. It came out when I was 9. I think I beat it when I was 10. Because my birthday's really close to, like, the release date. So it came out when I was 9, I beat it when I was 10, and, like, for some parts of it, I cut it down to the easiest difficulty setting, because, like, I was a little kid. But I also cut it up. I cut it up frequently enough to where I got pretty good at the combat system in the game, and that game helped spark a love for the Assassin's Creed franchise, and I'm really looking forward to Assassin's Creed Mirage. I've uploaded a video on that before. The fact of the matter is, this idea that people should be mocked for choosing lower difficulty settings in games, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of not really good of an idea if you want to get new people into games. Because a new person getting into a game isn't automatically gonna be able to just be good at games. The fact of the matter is, whenever you play a game, your skills transfer from game to game to game. As you play more video games, you get better at video games as a medium, and even if you travel into a different space in video games, you will still be able to do better just because of your prior knowledge. Yeah? In other video games. And if every video game has a fairly difficult difficulty that you can't change, or at least if a lot of video games have a difficult setting that you cannot change at all, then that's going to scare away a lot of people, a lot of young people, and even a lot of older people who are trying to get into video games now from getting into video games, because they're going to be too difficult for them. The fact of the matter is, video games as a medium is a medium that allows people to have freedom. Even in video games that stonewall you into certain areas and more linear video games, there is still a freedom in movement, there's still a freedom in action, unless it's a fucking David Cage game. There's still freedom in what you do in these games. And I think taking away the ability for people to select difficulty settings takes away some of that freedom, and it goes against the medium of video games, in my opinion. And again, I'm saying this as someone who plays typically on higher difficulties in video games because I find it fun. But not everyone finds that fun, and not everyone can get into video games like that. And I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, if Assassin's Creed Unity was stuck at, like, the highest difficulty setting, not even the highest, but, like, even normal difficulty, I probably wouldn't have beat it as a kid, because sometimes I had to drop down the difficulty setting to get through a mission. But after I beat that game, played through it again. Played through it on normal difficulty. I haven't played through it on hard difficulty yet. I haven't played that game in years, but I want to. I recently bought Assassin's Creed Unity on the recent Steam Summer Sale, and I'm planning on playing it on the hardest difficulty. The fact of the matter is, if we want to get more people into video games, if we want to get more people into our space, we have to accept the fact that difficulty in video games is going to be something that we can't just lock at a high setting, or just not even necessarily a high setting, just lock at a place where people can't change it. And also, on top of that, mocking people for going on easy mode, it's discouraging. It's discouraging. Like, if you were a little kid and you got mocked for going on easy mode, what's the point of playing video games? You feel like you're being insulted for playing a game on an easier mode that would be better for you as someone who's less experienced in video games. If you're someone who may have some disability that makes it harder to play some video games over others, then getting insulted for turning on a lower difficulty, that would discourage me from playing video games if I was put in that position. We can't be hostile to people who want to get into this medium, young or old, regardless of ability, for choosing lower difficulty settings. I think that's ridiculous. Yeah. And that isn't to say that you can't have games that are not hard. You should. Yeah. Elden Ring, take all of your Souls games. One recent one, well, not recent one, it's not out yet, but Lies of P. I recently played through that demo with one of my friends. It was really fun, and it was difficult as shit, because it's a Souls-like game. But you know what? It was fun as fuck, because difficult games can be really fun. But that doesn't mean that we should mock people for playing easier games, or for choosing easier settings in harder games. But that's just my 2 cents on this matter as a lifelong video game fan, as a high difficulty player. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. You can follow me. Links in the description on my social media platforms. You can join the Discord if you want to debate me, or you just want to talk, hang out with some lovely people, share some art maybe share some nice video game clips. You can do that, link down below as well. Make sure to comment as well if you have a disagreement with me. I would love to go over it. I read every comment because I don't get all that many. And I love you all. Have a lovely day. Peace. And I have to hit the stop recording button.